Ladies and gentlemen,
What you gonna do, brother?
oh yeah!
Woo! What? What? If you smell what the rock... You got the wrong guy. I'm the dude, man.
Welcome to another edition of Around the Turnbuckle. My name's the Big Alboski. That guy right there is Professor Keith, as always. And joining us is ECPW's own Atillio Aprile. What's up, man?
Yo, how you guys doing? Atillio Aprile in the Around the Turnbuckle house today.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So listen, man, it's an honor to meet you. You know, I heard a lot about you from friends, guys that have wrestled, guys and gals who have wrestled for ECPW. And I've been checking a lot of your stuff out on whatever I could find online. And I like what I see, man. You got a good thing going there in ECPW. How do you feel?
Thank you. I first really appreciate that. That's, awesome. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm feeling good today. I'm a bit tired, but that's how everything goes. You're busy, you work, you do everything, and then you're here. Yeah, but no, I'm good. I'm feeling great.
So Thundercat Greg Winters, what's up, brother? How you doing? Good to see you as always. Thundercat off of a show he had in Tennessee last night, Keith. So anyway,
Actually, a friend of mine, Friday, was telling me he was on his way home from doing a few weekends of shows, and told me that he was actually going to stop in Tennessee for those shows, but chose to come home to do some ECPW stuff Friday night because it was a bit closer to home for him. If you guys know Wildlife Randy Christie.
No, I have not.
Or the other name he goes by is Tarzan Durand.
That sounds familiar.
He's a phenomenal worker. He is one of the best I've ever seen.
Awesome. So tell us, man, a lot of times when we interview wrestlers, we always have to ask, like, why wrestling? What made you fall in love with wrestling? Were you a fan as a kid? Like, how'd that start, and who were your influences?
Well, growing up, I never really watched a lot of wrestling. Until I was maybe 12, 13 years old. I was in like fifth grade or something like that. And a friend of mine, who's a big wrestling fan, came over one day and said, Hey, you got to watch, Thursday Night SmackDown, because I think SmackDown was still on Thursdays then. Right. So I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, I'll watch it. And it was like partway into the show, and it was Rey Mysterio versus Mark Henry. And I was like, okay, well, no way that this little guy's gonna beat Mark Henry. He's gonna beat this big gorilla of a man. So, and Rey Mysterio won. I forgot how or what happened, but Rey Mysterio won that match. And I'm like, that is insane. And I just kind of started following SmackDown weekly after that, and it just kind of avalanched to that,
So Thundercat is asking a question here. How long you been in the business?
I've been in the business about 5 years now. This March makes officially 5 years.
Okay, cool. And he also asks, what's your finish?
I use the F5 because not too many people use it aside from Brock Lesnar. Right. I actually, when I use it, I call it the B55. It's kind of an homage to my dad's medical unit when he was a medic in the South Bronx Battalion 55.
That's awesome.
Because that's who you're going to need when you get hit with it.
That's awesome. So so when did you start training, and who trained you, and like how did you go through the process of finding schools, or did you know friends that were wrestlers, or how'd that work?
I was in 2013. I was told about a wrestling school by someone who would end up becoming a friend of mine later in life. Thank you very much, Greg. I really appreciate that. But
and I
yeah,
think it's great that you got such a story behind it too. That
that's awesome. That was cool. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. So, his name is Leo Hertz, and he was another Hudson Valley guy who trained with ECPW. And in 2013, he had told me about the ECPW training center in Jersey. I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe I'll look into that. Of course, me being me, then I didn't. I just kept watching it on TV. I would love to do that one day, but never did anything about it. Mm-hmm. And then about 4 years later, I'm in not such a great position and mindset in life, and I wanted to change things around. So I said, you know what? Let me get off my ass. Let me stop living in my depression and start doing something to, start doing something to make myself happy. Around that time, my nephew was right around the corner from being born, and I wanted to say, oh, okay, look, I don't want him knowing me as this overweight, depressed guy who doesn't care about anything. I want to be a positive influence on him. I want to try my best to show him that no matter what, hard work and determination will win the day in the end, even if it takes a little longer than taking a shortcut. So I started just hitting the gym, and I was researching schools and different places I can train for wrestling. And before my first day of training, I lost 50 pounds. And then I couldn't find anything that was like really that reputable by me, like a place that I really wanted to train at. And then that suddenly dinged in my head. ECPW. Leo was telling me about ECPW. So I went down to ECPW. I spoke with Gino Caruso, the man behind East Coast Professional Wrestling.
Yeah.
And a week later, I started training.
So how long did you train before you had your first match?
I trained about 5 or 6 months before my first match. But for any newer students in the art, even when you finally do have your first match, however long that may take, you never stop learning. You're always learning. So never close your mind off, and never stop taking suggestions or advice from anybody who know what they're talking about.
Did you early on pick the brains of guys that have been there a while, or did it take a while for you to do that? Or did you already know some of them?
I've always been kind of a quiet to myself person, so I really didn't start talking to many people except the people who I was directly training with on the day-to-day basis, because we're in the ring, we're training, we're talking about stuff, so I'm getting to know them. I really didn't personally like warm up to putting myself out there to start asking questions, because I just kind of went there and did what I was told. Now the people who were around when I was starting are friends of mine now, who I will exchange ideas with whenever they're in the mood to pass wisdom or just talk about stuff. And most of the time I see them are at some of our shows some of the days, so it's the hustle and bustle there, so it's like you don't have too much time to pick anybody's brains.
Talk about that first match. Did they bring you in as a heel? Did they bring you in as a face? And who did you wrestle?
I've been face since day one, still figuring out who I was as a wrestler. I was definitely a long way from what you see with the always positive, never surrender. Didn't have a look, didn't have a logo. I wrestled like a 90s, jobber. I had cargo shorts and a tank top on, and I went out there and I did all that. But I did have a fuller hairline then. So
right. Well,
I wrestled Anthony Marcos.
Okay, and how'd that go?
It was. I mean, I think it was a good first match. The crowd enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. He was a great guy to work with. Funny thing is, though, I came out to the ring like a heel because I was still young and naive and a little snotty at points about some of the things. I was mad that they messed up the music I picked out. So I came out upset, but then kind of smiled as the match went on and did the thing. And later on, I learned that that's gonna happen. And if that happens, now I make the best of it, and I make it a part of my character. If they put the wrong song on and I go, oh, come on, it's supposed to be like a metal concert in here. Let's go. Come on. Let's get the rock music. Come on. And I get the crowd going that way. But
right. And Keith and I talk to different guys that, and girls that, some of them enjoy being the face. Some of them enjoy being the heel. Some people say, some wrestlers have told us that it's easier to be the heel than the face because it's a lot harder to please them than it is to piss them off.
Yes and no to some extent. Yes, it's a lot easier to make somebody hate you than make somebody like you. But that also depends on the person in question as well. Some people are just more naturally heel. Like I know guys of who I'm really close with in person, but they're so natural as a heel when they go out there. And when I see them try to be face, it just doesn't work. Even though they're the greatest, sweetest people in person, it's just natural for them to be like an asshole in the ring. I feel very comfortable as face. That doesn't mean there aren't plans for heel stuff in the future, but right now, I'm happy the way things are kind of going. Things are progressing in a nice manner right now.
So you've been at it for 5 years. Name some of your opponents. And you don't have to necessarily be, your best or your worst opponents, just ones that that you've taken on because you've been at it for 5 years now. So I'm sure there's a list.
A couple of guys of who I've had some of my favorite matches against at the very least. Love Jones.
Okay.
Who you can see all over social media, the current ECPW viral champion. Right. Samson Khan, who was with us for about a year or so. Great guy, great character work. Anthony Marcos, the guy who I had like my first 4 or 5 matches against in the business. Right. Those are like three guys of who, if I were to say, if you booked us against each other in a show, we would give you something entertaining.
Awesome. Well, I want to bring the professor in here because he's awful quiet tonight. Keith, are you awake there, buddy?
No, I'm here. I'm just, me. I just kind of wait for like that moment.
You observe and you jump in. Right. You jump in like a stealth ninja on me all the time.
Well, my thing is, if I can't add anything, it's not about me. It's not about you.
It's not about me at all. It's about that guy down there.
Story, yep. So, I'm not going to jump in and say something just to say something, interrupt what he's saying. I just want to chime in when I, hear something that I think I can add or I can draw something more out, and congratulations to you for 5 years is kind of where you finally get to punch that veteran card and say, okay, I'm not a rookie anymore.
Right.
I really kind of know what I'm doing now. And you kind of are more able to get yourself into that position of respect and like maybe the young guys that are coming through now, you can go like, hey kid, I just watched your match out there. Here's what I think you did right. Here's what I think you did wrong. Is that something you enjoy doing? Is that something you engage with? Because you said being a more quiet guy, and I am too. So I totally sympathize with what you're saying. That must be really tricky because wrestling is all about networking. It's all about talking to people and finding your shots and stuff. So that must be a little challenging to kind of have that more reserved personality in a business that I don't want to say punishes you for it, but it's not an asset really in a lot of cases.
I mean, I definitely relate to everything that you said, and it's weird too when you say, okay, I've been in five years, so I can kind of punch that veteran card. At times, I'm like, okay, yeah, like I don't know what I would be considered. I'm not exactly a rookie. I'm not really green anymore. I haven't been there long enough to be considered a vet by some of the people who have been there longer than me. But to the newer students coming in and newer guys coming in, I am that vet for them, for that generation. It's very weird, and I personally try not to talk about where I think I would be on that status, as to not rub somebody the wrong way and inadvertently disrespect someone who's really a veteran of the business and someone who's really accomplished something in the business. But I do stay in close contact with a lot of our newer guys and girls of who are training, and I try to help them with advice or workout regimens or different kind of training, or working with them in training, outside of training, and I do give them match critiques sometimes, and let them know what I liked or didn't like. And at least so far, out of the group that we've gotten in the last 2 years training, they seem very appreciative of it. And we really have like a great group of trainees now. It's a wonderful group of young men and women now.
Thundercat says he's been doing it 17 years, Keith.
17 years. Absolutely congratulations on that, Greg. That is certainly very impressive. And I actually like to ask you then, since you've been in the business so long, how many years would you consider being able to click that vet card?
That's a great question.
That's a great question. And Thundercat, if you've ever seen a picture of him, Atillio, if you've seen a picture of him, he does not look like he's old enough to have had a 17-year wrestling career. I mean, I swear, but kudos to him for staying in shape and whatnot. And he just had they just had an event for Tennessee Wrestling Alliance down in Tennessee. I believe it was yesterday, because he sent me video clips.
That's awesome.
And that's the cool thing about this show. When we meet you guys, we love to stay in touch. We would love to come down and obviously see a show. Keith lives in Jersey. I'm a Jersey boy, but I live in PA. So it's not that far a trek for us to head over and check out one of your shows. And we had Raven Knight on last week. And we told her we'd love to come down and see an ECPW show. And she, of course, handed us you. And that's how this happens. We have you on here. We hear your story. And then we hopefully you send us somebody that you think would like to be on. That leads me to my next question. Is there anybody on the ECPW roster that you haven't wrestled that you would like to?
Oh, there are a lot of people I would love the opportunity to work with. Couple of them friends of mine, and a couple of them newer people of who I really just want to see if I can keep up with some of these new kids who are almost 10 years younger than me now.
Right.
Off the top of my head, I really want to work with Sammy Nazir, who is one of our newer ECPW guys. She's been with us about a year and a half, 2 years now, I think. Yeah. Great worker, great, just a great human being. Yankee TDM, friend of mine from the Hudson Valley. Jonathan Bain. There's so many people. I could just sit here listing for.
Well, I don't want you to offend anybody by leaving them out, but I'm just saying.
Tamir Gibbs has to be one of my absolute favorite new guys to come out of the training center. He's got so much personality. He's got so much energy, and he's again just a wonderful person. Just so many people I would just love to be able to work with. I can talk about that for like hours.
So Thundercat answered your question, and he said that the vet card should be pulled out at least around year 9 or 10.
Okay. Thank you very much for answering the question, Greg. So yes, I was right not to consider myself a vet in 5 years. So I don't know where I am in that scale.
You're somewhere in between, but like you said, you never stop learning. I'm sure Greg, even at 17 years, still has things that he could learn at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the business always evolves and changes and things like that. And
wrestling never goes in reverse.
Right.
But in that, as much as things are progressing, and it's something that I've found works pretty well for me, I have a very kind of old school throwback type gimmick and character when I'm out there. And modern fans today don't necessarily watch that kind of wrestling. So they're not so there's a lot of crowds that maybe aren't used to a little bit of a slower, more story-based match with a lot of character and getting the crowd involved in that match.
So Greg says, or simply when you feel more confident over the others in the locker room, and yes, I still learn a lot.
I agree with that statement, definitely. But just me being who I am, and just like and I'm quiet and I keep to myself. I'm not the most social person, but I'll be social in situations where it calls for it. I think myself equal with everybody. Now there is a difference that may be experience or a knowledge that I'll gladly help anybody newer with, but it's I personally still just feel that little awkward where it's like, okay, do I really have any business telling him this or telling him that, or he's been doing this 3 years now, that's not too terribly apart from me, should I really, so it's just a bunch of like anxiety that you just got to work through if you're an antisocial person. And come on, professional wrestling is one of the most social businesses there is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, listen, I know all about the antisocial thing. I have a 21-year-old antisocial son who has like 2 friends. You keep your circle small. Yeah, and you have comfort zones, and you stay within your comfort zone. And that leads me to my next question. I want to know about Atillio Aprile, the character, the guy that you bring out to the fans. Because if people are watching this that have never seen you wrestle before, tell us about him. Tell us about the character. Tell us about what's he all about.
Always positive, never surrender. Just keep on trying no matter what. Always smile. Always do your best to put on a smile, win or lose. You show the kids you're going to be knocked down, you're going to lose in life, but you roll with the punches, you get up and you keep on fighting. Hard work and determination will get you what you're fighting for. It will turn a dream into a goal and a goal into a reality.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it all.
And that's kind of where I am at this point in my life and career here. I've got a lot going on that will keep me from making it big. I'm gonna keep on seeing where wrestling takes me, but there are certain things that I'm working through toward that. There are people coming in of who have their set goal. They know where they want to be.
Right.
So my current goal is to help them make their dream a reality and help push them to where they need to be so they can maybe go further than me or further than I will go.
That's
And so on.
interesting. That's interesting that you're saying basically what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, but basically what you're saying is that when you first got into the business, you might have had aspirations of maybe getting signed or getting a TV deal or going to AEW or Impact or one of those places. But at this point, you're starting to realize that, if that does happen, that's great. You'd be very excited about it, I'm sure. But if it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world, but you love wrestling enough and you see these guys in here that come through that are really good and really talented, and you want to take that role of making them even better so that they really do have a shot at Impact or AEW or whatever, wherever they go. Am I wrong?
When I started, I knew there were going to be certain things working against me, and when I started, AEW wasn't really a thing in 2017 when I was starting. So there was Impact and WWE.
Yeah.
So when I started, I just wanted to prove to myself that I can become a wrestler. And then that dream became the goal, and the goal became the reality. I'm today still wrestling. I am still a professional wrestler. I accomplished that. Now, 5 years later, I have some other stuff in life that's kind of hindering certain aspects of my daily life and career. And I'm at a point where I'm saying I'll take it as far as I can go, but I think I would get greater satisfaction out of helping somebody who's really striding for it. Like someone who has a better opportunity than me. If I can do anything that will help them achieve that goal, to turn that dream into a goal into reality. I don't know how many times more I'm going to be saying that, but to get to AEW or get to WWE or get to Impact or get to wherever they want to be. I have some friends in the business who are starting out whose goal is it to make it to New Japan.
Right.
And that's great and that's wonderful. And if there's anything, any advice, anything, or if a match with me can help teach them something about how some guys work or what to or to not do, if there's anything I can do to help someone, I want to do it to help someone.
And Keith, that's as selfless as it comes, right?
It is. And I mean, I think that's something that people forget. Certainly, I know of many fans who forget it, where they act like, well, if you're not getting to the national companies, something's wrong with you, or you're not worth it, or, they forget, like, somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. Some guy's role is to be the guy that goes out there, guy or girl that goes out there, and helps somebody else become a star. And that's a very selfless role, and it's a very important role. Not everybody can be the big hero. Not everybody can be the main eventer. You need those guys, but you need those guys and girls along the way that help the main eventer become the main eventer. Nobody becomes a star all by themselves.
How can you not like this guy, Keith? You know what I mean? It's like,
absolutely.
That's awesome. Thundercat's chiming in again. He says, experience is key, but if this business has taught me anything, it's definitely communication, constructive criticism, patience, and always expand your moveset.
Absolutely. That any younger wrestlers or aspiring wrestlers watching, absolutely screenshot this right now and save that quote. That is very important information. That is something that should always be in your head every time you're at the gym, every time you're training, every time you're at a show, every time you're in the ring working a show, or if you're there doing production or helping with production, if they put you on mute, whatever it is you're doing in the business will aid and benefit you in the business and help the business thrive.
Greg, I want to know if that's an original Thundercat quote, or did you find that under William Regal or some stuff? Because that's some awesome words right there. Holy mackerel! All right, that was the best thing I ever seen. All right, awesome. So there's a thing that we do, Atillio. There's a thing that we do on every show, and that is if you could book yourself against any wrestler alive, dead, or or still wrestles to this point in a dream match scenario on any stage, in any ring, doesn't matter. What would that be and why?
See, there's a lot of great workers, both indie and big time, that I would love to work.
Right.
If I were to pick one person to wrestle against, I want to wrestle Rey Mysterio.
That's
because
awesome.
he is personally my favorite wrestler. Not one who I modeled my character style after, but I've always appreciated and loved his style and what he brings to the art form.
Best little man of all time.
If I were to say, hey, what kind of tag match would I want to book myself in?
Sure.
I want to tag with Ricky Morton against, I would say I want to tag with Ricky Morton against Love Jones and Sweet Daddy Siki.
That's awesome. Rock and Roll Express, baby.
So that would be my dream tag match.
All right, so that's awesome. Rey Mysterio is a legend and deservedly so, and I can't say enough good things about Rey Mysterio. So that's a hell of a model to take on, and I'd be great. Boys, I love this guy, and no, actually, I just came up with it. That was his quote. That was his quote.
Thank
you.
And it's right. It's smart. It's great advice because you have to keep evolving. You have to
put that up again. Experience is key. But if this business has taught me anything, it's definitely communication, constructive criticism, and patience. Always expand your moveset. Ricky Morton is a good friend of the Thundercat. How you like that?
That's awesome.
Yo, you guys ought to hook up after the show, man. Look up Greg Winters on Facebook.
I absolutely will, for sure. I absolutely will.
Thundercat's a friend of this show, and I love him dearly. Mm-hmm. And he lives down there. I believe he corrected me. I believe he lives in Alabama.
You said Alabama.
But he wrestles in Tennessee. Yep. But nonetheless, he's a Southern style wrestler. But he's kind of like, he kind of reminds me a lot of Bryan Danielson. All right, his moveset. But he can also do some high flying stuff that maybe Bryan can't do. So I don't know. He's fun to watch. I'll tell you that, because he sends me all his matches.
I'm gonna have to look him up. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, if you request him, he'll friend you. He'll give you. You guys can talk wrestling all damn night, I bet, and he'll probably send you a match or two of his that he's done recently. He was their champion for a while there. He has since lost the title, I believe.
That must have been a true job then, clearly.
And it's funny whenever I talk or think about tag matches, because me personally, I've never been a big fan of tag matches.
Yeah.
And
you mean doing them or watching them?
Both. I've just don't know what it is about tag matches that I can't connect with. But
can I guess?
Teams, what?
Can I guess why you don't like tag matches?
Sure.
All right. So I've been little quick thing. I'm 45 years old. I've been a wrestling fan. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I've been a wrestling fan for over 40 years. And tag matches are basically the same. Not to say that I don't love them. I do. I love tag matches. And I've over the years I've appreciated a lot of tag teams. But the thing of the matter is you have the same thing. Basically, you start off the match with the utility workers, the guys that could actually wrestle a little bit better than their partner, and you get something going, and you start to tell a story in the ring, basically, blah 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 blah, and then usually, not all the time, but usually the heel tag team gets the other guy in the corner, double teams him for quite some time. All right, gets him to near death. There's that hot tag. The partner comes in, House of Fire. They hit their finisher, and either they win the match, or the heels pull a fast one and sneak out with a victory. That's a tag. That's basic. Keith, am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No, I mean that is basically the idea and the psychology of it. I think part of the problem is that in the last few years, nobody really does tag wrestling like they should, because you have very few tag teams at this point, I think, that are really committed tag teams, because the business, at least at the major levels, is de-incentivizing tag teams. It's, you want to be a single, you want to get pushed as a single. So, you can go back and you can look at the great teams like the Rock and Roll, the Midnights, the last great teams of the last generation here, the Dudleys, the Hardys, Edge and Christian, all of that.
It's funny that you say that too, because the few teams that I enjoy watching, where I look at them and I watch their matches and I say, these guys make me care about tag teams, are the Rock and Roll Express, the Hardys, the Dudleys, Edge and Christian. Like those are the teams. When I see them involved in a match, I'm about to flip the channel, and then Hardys come out, or Rock and Roll Express comes out, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch this, because I just enjoy the charisma and personality that they bring.
Right.
I feel a connection to those characters. I feel a connection to those people. So
and nobody
when I see
like
those guys, So when I see those guys, I feel more of a drive to enjoy that. I'm getting myself tongue tied here, but
no, that's all right. But tag team wrestling though turns you off mostly. Why?
I really just don't know. I just can't put it into words. It's like how when you meet somebody and sometimes you get a good vibe off them, so you're willing to walk up and say, hey, how you doing? And sometimes you meet somebody and you just have this primal hatred toward them.
Yes.
And you kind of stay away from them.
Yes.
When I watch tag teams, I just don't really care for them.
I get you. I got it. I mean, like I said,
but
some wrestlers have said the exact same thing that you have said to us. We've been doing this almost 2 years now, and we've heard that story before, where they sometimes they've been put in tag matches, sometimes they not against their will. I don't want to say that, but they get booked in a tag match. They've never been in a tag match before, and it's just not the same as one-on-one to them. Mm-hmm. They're just not a fan of it. And like I said, some guys criticize it for what I said before about there's a formula involved in a tag match, and basically they're always the same. The only difference is what's the outcome at the end. Either the heel team steals the win, or the face team gets that hot tag. They come in crazy and they end in a big, huge finish, and everybody's cheering while they do it. And I mean, but I'll tell you, as fans, I can tell you that most fans get into tag matches a little bit more than one-on-one, because a lot of times with one-on-one, you have different fans, right? You have the young fans and you have the older fans. Mm-hmm. Old school fans like me and Keith can figure out what you're doing in the ring, what story you guys are telling in the ring. When we're watching a match, we can see what you're doing there. You're working on a body part. Like, what story are you guys telling in the ring? Mm-hmm. Where younger fans get impatient. They want to see a lot more flying around, and they want to see a lot more, movement. And with tag matches, you can pull that off. And there could be some chicanery involved. There could be some, while the two guys are fighting in the ring, the other guy runs around, pulls the guy down off the apron, and they start fighting. So there's a lot more excitement to it, and sometimes confusion. But I can see why pro wrestlers like yourself shy away from tag matches overall in general.
Well, if I'm a part of a show and somebody wants me booked on their show and they tell me, hey, you're doing a tag match. Yes, sir, whatever you want me to do.
Right, right.
And I'll do my part in the match. And I've been a part of several tag team matches. Some of them I've enjoyed working in because of the dynamics in the match, and others just weren't well put together matches. So I'll never say no to a booking unless if there's absolutely no merit to that organization. I'm not going to name any names or say nothing here, but there are some companies that I will refuse to be a part of for one reason or the other.
Well, first and foremost, we don't know this. Have you wrestled other places besides ECPW, like a lot of them, or?
I've wrestled a few other places.
Okay.
But
you stay local, you stay local, like Jersey, PA, New York.
Yeah. For the most part, I mostly work with ECPW. A large part of that is because I run a lot of the production for the company.
Yeah, you also said you do some color commentary, right?
Yeah, on other bigger shows in Jersey where ECPW may not need me to wrestle in the show, but we're doing live commentary, I'll do commentary with the secondary commentator on the ECPW Adrenaline program. So I'll usually do commentary for the night with him.
Do you enjoy that better than? I mean, would you rather call wrestling than actually be in the ring and taking bumps?
I just want to be involved, and at this point, I need to be a little more careful and a little more choosy because I had like tendon reconstructive surgery on my ankle May 2021. So I need to be careful because technically a lot of it is still healing. I'm good enough to do occasional matches. If you want me in a battle royal, I'll do it. If you need me in a singles match, I can do it. If you need me in a tag match, that's also great because we only need to do half of the work. Tag technically, but so I'm at a point where I need to be a little more selective in some matches. I can't wrestle in the capacity I did a year or two ago.
Greg says, if you ever notice back in the Rock and Roll Express days, tag matches had one pin attempt, and it was the finish.
No, I don't think I've ever noticed that. I'm probably gonna have to go back and watch some older tag matches so I can see that.
Anthony Joseph Flair is in the house. Woo, there he is. All right, so Greg Thundercat says also, if I can get you booked on a show here in Bama, I wouldn't mind picking you up from the airport. You are welcome to stay at my place, and we can leave and go to the show and then back to the airport the following day.
That would be absolutely incrable.
Wrestling in Bama, there you go.
I would be honored, yes. Absolutely, thank you. I just need to get that coordinated with my shoot job and other stuff. But yes, I would love to
Keith,
travel with you.
Keith, I see the future. I see Thundercat and Atillio in a tag match in Pikeville. So that's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I think it could work because I mean that, like I said,
love making these connections, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, because that's one of the things about tag wrestling that I really personally kind of like. I like those, and not that Greg's small, but just Greg is a very different body type than you are, and I like seeing that like different thing.
That combo, right? It's perfect.
Sometimes you have the more technical, faster guy, and then you have like the bigger guy that
you get the powerhouse,
right? And that's kind of fun too. I mean, and that is the thing. I love tag wrestling personally. It's one of the things that kind of drew me into wrestling. But it's got to be done right because there is a major difference between a true tag team that works at it every night, understands the formula, and understands how to wrinkle the formula and make it entertaining. And two guys that were just told, yeah, you're going to work as a team now tonight. Go figure it out and have fun. Yeah,
Anthony Joseph says, I'll fly you in just to punch Alboski in the mouth, and then I'll fly you back, too.
If he's
you,
in
Anthony.
PA, I can just drive up there.
I was going to say, there's no flight involved.
Yeah, dude, you're probably about 90 minutes to 2 hours tops away from where I am right now. So,
but yeah, Keith, to piggyback off of what you said, yes, and most of the tag matches that I've been a part of, I was thrown in there with one or two guys. We're all singles wrestlers mostly, and they say, "Hey, do this
6-man tag."
Okay, yes, sir. We'll go do this, and then we make the most out of the match as we can. On a couple occasions, I've been in tag matches where my partners couldn't really work.
Right.
For one reason or the other, whether this one either didn't have enough training or wasn't trained well enough, or this one was hurt.
Right.
And it made for less engaging tag matches because I would need to kind of fill in the rest of the energy for the crowd, and would be in most of the match, tagging the guy who couldn't really work in so he can take some heat, so he can hot tag me back in so we can go do the boom, boom, boom. You know?
Thundercat says, definitely get in touch with me after the show and we could talk and get some balls rolling. And yes, Keith, I am small, 178 pounds and stand 5'6".
Woo, I'm taller. I'm 5'10" and 260 pounds.
Enjoy the Super Bowl, Anthony, you jerk, for telling him to punch me in the mouth. Thank you very much. Jackass. All right. Anyway, so, all right, man. So we got less than 15 minutes left. So let's talk a little bit about your YouTube channel, because this is our YouTube channel. This is 2M1L Media, and we have Around the Turnbuckle. We have Spitting with Spitter. We have Home Team Sports. We have a bunch of shows going on our YouTube channel. But you have your own YouTube channel, and you want to talk about that, which features you talking about anime mostly, right? It's called Recall. What was that again?
Reviews. Yes.
Recall Reviews.
I host a channel and show on YouTube called Recall Reviews. It's all one word typed in. For the most part, I talk a lot about anime and other movies and stuff, and I give semi-comedic reviews with a serious takeaway, where I genuinely at the end tell you if you should or shouldn't consider giving whatever I was talking about a chance. Sometimes I try to find the worst things possible because I can make the most jokes out of it, and then give a really big over the top, no, you should absolutely not watch this film. It is blah 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 blah, whatever it is I'm gonna say. I also like that's the main show on my channel. I also have a couple auxiliary shows I do. One in where I find random obscure snacks and I'll just try them and tell you what I think.
Like those ones that you order online from different countries and stuff.
Yeah, like I started that mainly because they're quick little videos I can make to tell the YouTube algorithm that I'm not a dead channel and I can have regular content coming out.
Right.
Another auxiliary show I'm doing with a friend of mine who's local. He's not a wrestler, but he's an artist. He likes to draw, and I like to draw too. And we started an art show on my channel where we'll look at a comic book artist or an artist online, and we'll critique a few select pieces of their work, pick one out of what we critiqued and talked about to recreate in our own style. The first episode that we did is on Rob Liefeld.
Okay. That's cool.
And when I do have time, I'm making Let's Play videos. So just me shooting the shit with whoever decides to watch the video, and I'm playing a video game.
So, name some animes that you would recommend.
Full Metal Alchemist is definitely high up on the list.
You're up Keith's alley here now. That's why I asked that question.
Both series are good. If you want a darker, more consistent tone, go with the 2003 original series and then the movie Conqueror of Shambhala. If you want what's technically the darker story, but a little bit lighter because it has a lot of bold humor injected in it, I would recommend Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is a 1-to-1 adaptation of the manga or the Japanese comics. Clannad and Clannad After Story. I love both of those. Great shows by Kyoto Animation. If you want a good action series, I always recommend everything Dragon Ball. Not really GT, but I recommend everything else Dragon Ball.
I always thought GT had good ideas. It's just for whatever reason they just never fleshed them out enough. It would be like you start with something that's like, wow, this is a really cool idea. I hope they flesh this out and it's over. And I'm like, oh, what?
Basically, what it is was Toei Animation made GT with minimal intervention by Akira Toriyama, and it was a cash grab. Because Dragon Ball Z had just ended, and they said, "Hey, let's make more money." Hey, Dragon Ball is doing really well right now because we brought that show back with a couple of movies, and now it's popular in the U.S. again because they started airing Dragon Ball halfway through Dragon Ball Z. Because because like they had originally started airing Dragon Ball in the late '80s, early '90s in the U.S., and it just wasn't taken off. It was a slower, more story-based series, so I totally get it. And then they did Dragon Ball Z, and then that did really, really big. And then once Dragon Ball Z was almost over, then Funimation relocalized Dragon Ball and started airing that after Dragon Ball Z ended to say, well, if you like Dragon Ball Z, check out this new show about the origin of Goku. You know, whatever. And then they aired Dragon Ball, and it did really well. And then it's like, hey, your Dragon Ball's doing well in the US right now. Let's make Goku a kid again. Why? Why would you do that? But anyway, so I recommend GT for the Shadow Dragon arc. And that, which is the final arc of the series, but you know, Super Saiyan 4 is the only thing Akira Toriyama contributed to GT. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many shows that I can just, and again, shows like Wrestlers I can name for hours about what I recommend or who like whatever.
Right. So, man, if you want to check out Attilio's YouTube channel, it's Recall Reviews, all one word on YouTube. Search it on YouTube, you'll pop up. How often do you drop an episode?
Depends on my schedule. The episodes of my main reviews are scattered.
Okay.
If I have time, I'll.
But you always have content, like you always have content pumping in there.
Yeah. Right now, I finished making the videos, and the episodes are uploading weekly. Of me playing Fear 2.
Okay.
And I'm going to do a couple smaller games after that, and then I'm probably going to do Terminator Resistance.
See, that's for your gamers out there too. My son's watching. My son, check him out, man. Check out Attilio there. If you want to see Attilio wrestle, though, he will be at ECPW's Fully Charged Friday, February 25th in Middletown, New York. Tickets $15 in advance and $20 at the door.
And you will see the end of something that's been brewing for a month when you'll see me and beautiful buddy Thomas in the taped fist match.
Now explain that. How did that come to be?
But see, beautiful buddy Thomas is a really talented guy, and I sing his praises. I've called a lot of his matches on commentary, but he uses all that talent to bully people and push people around. So, you know, beautiful buddy Thomas, we had a match in Otisville some time ago now, and cheated to win. So now no rules, nothing being held back. Just me and him and tape fists. Basically, is what's going on there.
And the thing about taped fists is referee's not going to check them. You can put anything in there.
That could get ugly. That could get ugly. So that being said, Middletown, New York is the place. ECPW, $15 in advance, $20 at the door on Friday night, February 25th. Brother, I got one last question, but I want to tell you first and foremost, thank you for your time.
Thank you for allowing me onto the show, giving me the opportunity to be on the show with you guys.
Absolutely.
It was an honor and a pleasure. I hope we can do this again sometime too.
You are welcome back anytime. I was going to say thank you for your time. Thank you for all the advice you gave the young guys, because even though you've only been around for 5 years in the business, you still know a few things that maybe guys that have been around for 5 months don't know. So thank you for that. Thank you for your candor. I'm so glad I made a connection with you and Thundercat. We love Thundercat. Thundercat's been.
I'm definitely gonna hit him up after this.
Yes, please do yourself a favor, because he's a great human being, and it seems like you like to flock to great human beings. Number one. Number two, whether you know this or not, dude, you yourself are a great human being. In this hour, Keith and I have gotten to know you. And it seems like you are much more of somebody who gives of themselves than somebody who asks for anything in return. And I appreciate that to the max. I appreciate you for who you are. And I wish you the best of luck in anything you do, whether it's in this business, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's with your anime stuff, whatever. Thank you so much for sharing all that. And I hope, if anything, we made the contact with you and Thundercat, number one. And number two, I hope a couple of subs go your way to your YouTube channel. Anybody's interested in anime reviews. That being said, I got one last.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That being said, I got one last question, sir. And that question is, we're gonna flip the script here.
All right.
If there's you're interviewing us now. If there's any question that you can ask me or Keith or both of us, fire away.
All right. So, Keith, it seems like you kind of have a decent grasp of anime and some stuff like that. What was the first show that got you interested in anime?
I don't think it was a show. I think it was, I saw the first Vampire Hunter D movie. I'm a horror guy. I've always been partial to vampires, so I'm like, and I've always liked animation and stuff like that. I'm almost 39 years old, but I'll still sit and watch Looney Tunes every once in a while. I'm not.
Stop lying, Keith. You're almost 40. We know this.
Well, yeah, 39 is almost 40, genius. Can't take him anywhere. So yeah, I had watched that, and then anime started to really take off, and I started to watch Dragon Ball Z like a lot of people did. When I was in high school and stuff, a buddy of mine would come over, and of course we would make all the obligatory jokes during the Frieza saga, because it would just go on forever, and then we'd be like, yeah, tomorrow Goku's gonna throw a kick, Frieza's going to throw a punch. They're going to shoot some energy blasts at each other. And then Frieza's going to reveal that he was only fighting at 56% of his maximum. And then the next day will be 57. And we'll just be here for 100 more episodes until he finally says, okay, yeah, honest this time. Totally 100%. So
yeah, bit of trivia on the Goku versus Frieza fight. It to this day holds the record for longest fight in animated history at 3.5 hours.
I can believe it. I actually always kind of felt like maybe that was an attempt to try to end the show and maybe end the manga, because it's like he was just making something so big that it's like, how am I going to top this? How am I ever going to top this?
It's funny that you say that, because Akira Toriyama was going to end it after Raditz.
Oh, wow.
That's where he wanted it to end, but then Dragon Ball, like that's why he called that season Dragon Ball Z, because Z is the end of the alphabet. So he wanted that to be the end, a one and done season. Goku and Raditz die. Piccolo is kind of left to be guardian of Earth to train Goku's son Gohan, and that's where it was supposed to end. And then Toei's like, hey, Akira, Dragon Ball Z did really well, so you need to do another season. So then he did another season, brought in more Saiyans, and then went up to Cell, and then originally Cell had one form, the first form bug form. His producer said, "Nah, he's kind of ugly. Can you do something to make him prettier?" He absorbs Android 17. Okay, and he's still kind of gross looking. Like,
arguably, second form Cell looks even worse. So it's like, Akira, we said prettier. We went the wrong way.
Absorb Android 18, and now he's gorgeous.
Yeah,
and
for Bugman, that is a pretty gorgeous Bugman.
And then he was going to end it there. No, we're making so much money. You have to keep it going. Okay.
Thundercat says the show in Middletown, is it close to Fancher Davidge Park?
I'm honestly not sure where that is.
Okay.
I know from me personally, Middletown, New York is half an hour from me.
Right.
I know it'd be about an hour and a half, 2 from you guys, maybe.
Right.
In Jersey and PA. I'm not sure how far from Alabama.
Well, yeah. I mean, you never know with him. He might be wrestling up here that same weekend. I don't know. He moves around. All right. That's so awesome.
Yeah, I can talk for hours. I don't want to take up any more of your time.
Not that. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off. I wanted to get his question in there because I thought that was important.
Cool.
It's pretty far from Alabama. I think. All right. So anyway. Well, I want to thank you, brother, again for being on here and telling your story and giving advice to the young guys. I want to thank Thundercat for all the advice that he shared to you and the connection you guys made. That's awesome. I don't want to thank Anthony Joseph for his ridiculous comments, but on the same token, I hope everybody enjoys the Super Bowl, which is coming up next. And Keith and Attilio, do not go away when I go off the air. Keith and I will be back here next Sunday at our regular time slot at 6:00 with our part 2 of 3WA president Dino Santa. He will be back here for part 2. That is next Sunday at 6:00. Do not miss that, leading up to the event coming up on the 26th in Quakertown. ECPW Fully Charged is Friday, February 25th in Middletown. You'll see this guy, and you'll see a bunch of other guys and gals in the ECPW. My thanks and special thanks to Raven Knight for sending us this guy, because he is awesome. And thank you very much, Raven. And we wish him success just as much as we also extend that to Raven as well. Just breaking into the business. Good luck to her. Good luck to all you guys at ECPW. And Keith, you got any parting gifts? And while I say that, Raven just pops up. You're welcome.
Thank you, Raven. You're the best.
All right, go ahead, Keith. Any parting gifts?
I just want to echo what you said. It was a fun hour. I'm glad we did it. I'm glad you gave us some of your time and came to hang out. And, it's always cool to talk anime and stuff like that with some people.
Keith, at the beginning of this, you did not think by the end you'd be talking anime, right?
No. That's the first time we've ever talked about Dragon Ball Z on this show.
We've never talked about Dragon Ball Z on Around the Turnbuckle.
I am an all-around nerd. You can look at the stuff in back.
It's a first on Around the Turnbuckle we did.
I even got signed autograph of the voice actress of who voiced Videl in the U.S. dub for Dragon Ball Z.
There you go. All right, man. I'm the Big Alboski. He's Professor Keith. He is Atillio Aprile. This was Around the Turnbuckle. We'll see you guys all next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you gonna do, brother? Oh, yeah! Woo! What? If you smell what the rock